class is designed for your morning practice, but you can obviously do it any time of the day. So we're going to start the class by laying down on our backs in Shavasana. So come and get yourself comfortable. Allowing your hands to come out to the sides and your toes to gently fall out to the sides. Tucking your chin slightly in to straighten and lengthen the spine. Starting to feel into the back of your body in contact with your mat. And starting to invite the breath into the body. Allowing your breath to rise up towards the ceiling. And then sink back down towards your yoga mat. And then beginning with the practice of the yogic breath. So starting to invite the breath deeply into the lower lung, allowing the belly button to rise up towards the ceiling. And then rolling the breath up towards the rib cage, allowing that space to expand out, and then all the way up to the upper chest, into the upper lungs, before releasing it down first in the lower lung, the mid lung, and the upper lung. Allowing the breath to roll in and up like a big, beautiful wave, and out and down. Starting to breathe in the new day. Bringing fresh prana, life force energy into your body. And allowing any stagnant energy from the night to exhale out of the body. Doing this breath 2 more times. Lovely, big, rolling, deep breaths in and letting go as you exhale out. And then allowing your breath to come back to its natural state. And just taking a moment to check in with yourself. Checking into how your body is feeling on a physical level, on a mental and emotional level, the quality, base of your thoughts, as well as your energetic body. How much energy do you feel in your body right now, or where do you feel it? The quality of the energy. And then taking a nice deep breath in. And exhaling, letting go. And then coming to bend both of your knees and placing your feet flat on the floor in front of your buttocks. And then interlacing your fingers around your left shin or the thigh. And then if it's comfortable for you to do so, lowering your right leg down onto the floor. Taking a nice deep breath in, and as you breathe in and hold the breath, starting to take your knee towards your nose and your nose towards your knee. And then exhaling back down. Inhaling, allowing the torso to fill. And then squishing in that air pocket in the digestive system as you take your knee towards your nose and your nose towards your knee, and then releasing back down. And if you do have your right leg extended, you may feel a stretch through that front hip flexor and psoas. Really beautiful stretch for that as well as working into our digestive system. So doing this 3 more times on this side. And then releasing that leg back down. And then when you're ready, going on to the other side. Remembering to keep the opposite leg straight if you're able to, grounding it down into the mat by pointing your toes up towards the ceiling. And then take a nice deep breath in. And then taking your nose towards your knee and your knee towards your nose. You might notice a difference in the feeling of that front opposite leg that's grounded down to the leg. Mine is really tight on this side. They indicate a difference in your pelvis. Flexibility through your legs. Do this one more time. And then bending your opposite knee. And then pointing your foot up towards the ceiling and just giving your ankle a nice little roll around. Going back the opposite way. And then with this leg still up in the air, if you do have a strap and you'd like to use one, you can place your strap around the base of your toes. Otherwise, if you're able to, just direct your leg around by itself, or you can help with your arms. We're going to take our foot in a nice big circle. So if you do have a strong sciatica or slip disc, I don't recommend you doing this. You can instead do some nice little small circles with your knee. But if all is well in your back and your hips, you can extend that leg up towards the ceiling and then taking it out to the right side. And then all the way over to the left and back up. Now, if you do feel comfortable, you can lower your opposite leg to the floor and take it in nice big circles, working into that hip joint. Inhaling as you raise the leg up towards the ceiling and exhaling as you lower it back down. And then bending the knee, placing the foot back on the floor, then extending your opposite leg and rotating into that ankle. You may notice some different sensations in the leg that you were just working on, some warmth in that hip joint and the thigh, feeling that the energy started to move through your body. And then taking your leg out to the side, over toward the right and back up. So inhaling as you draw your foot up towards the ceiling and exhaling back down. Working into that hip joint. Might feel some clunks, that's okay, as long as it's not too uncomfortable. And going back the opposite way. And then drawing your leg back down. Extending your left leg down onto the floor, grasping hold of your right knee and just going into a nice gentle twist into the universal spinal twist. So you're taking that knee towards the floor as you extend the right arm out from the shoulder, looking over to that right hand. Aiming to keep the shoulder blade in contact with the mat, so you may not take your knee so far over. Breathing deeply into your abdominal space and the lower back. And then drawing your knee back to the center. Extending your right leg down onto the floor as you bend the left knee across the body, extending the left arm out to the side, looking over to that left hand. Feeling a stretch into the back of the body. Allowing the breath to gently stretch a little bit deeper. And then drawing that knee back to the center. And placing your hands underneath your lower back, or you can place them into prayer position in front of your heart. And then pressing back up to a seated position. And coming to face the front. Giving your shoulders a nice little roll around. And then inhaling the tops of the fingers, or the fingers onto the tops of the shoulders. And then inhaling your elbows to the front of the body, to the chest, and then all the way back as you exhale, drawing them back towards them. Inhale up and back, and exhaling down and forward. You might like to close your eyes and just taking your awareness down into the movement of your shoulder blades and expansion of your chest. Breathing in a new day. And then when your elbows come to touch at the front of the body, going back the opposite way. Inhaling up and back, and exhaling forward and down. Making this your last rotation. And then resting your hands back down onto your knees, feeling into the space of the chest, the heart space. Taking a nice deep breath in and letting go. And then extending your legs out to the sides. So if you do have a blanket or a cushion handy, you might like to place it underneath your buttocks to just raise your hips up a little bit. This will make the stretch in your hamstrings not so brutal. And that just allows your hips to tilt forward, your pelvis to tilt forward. And then we're going to go into the practice of Chaki Chalanasana, which is looks like we're churning a mill, or maybe a big pot, which is cauldron. So interlacing your fingers in front of the body, extending your arms out nice and straight, then folding forward, taking your hands over towards the left or the right. You probably see the right, and then inhaling back, exhaling forward. So the aim is to lean back slightly with a nice straight back, engaging your abdominal muscles, core strength. So this is a Shakti Bandha, which means energy releasing practice. But definitely a nice one to do in the morning to start to wake up the energy in your body. And let go of any knots and energy blockages. This one obviously working on our pelvis and abdominal region. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. Remembering that you can bring your legs in together a little bit closer if it's really not comfortable to have them out that wide. And then going back the opposite way. Doing one more round. And then drawing your legs back together, hanging the backs of your legs onto the floor. Closing your eyes for a moment and just taking your awareness down to the hip joints and the pelvis, noticing any subtle changes in this space. Starting to build that nice soft awareness into your day by becoming aware of more subtleties in the body to help to transfer over into your day. And then coming to sit onto your hands and your knees into the cat-cow pose, Vajrayasana. So inhaling, looking up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, tucking your chin in towards your chest as you take your back up towards the ceiling. So there's a few different ways that we can kind of direct this practice. One of the ways is to lead with our hearts if we're working on that space. Another one is to really focus on the contraction of the abdominal muscles to engage that space. They all help to allow our back to move nice and freely. But in this one, I'd like you to focus on the movement stemming from your tailbone. So allow the movement to be coming from and controlled by the movement of your tailbone. So at the tailbone, we have the chakra, Svadhisthana chakra, and its element is water. So when we gently activate this area, it helps to bring in a bit more of a flow into our bodies and into our minds. It's a more feminine aspect rather than the masculine pushing, perhaps, which helps us to get things done. Feminine energy allows us to be a little deeper, flow a little more. So allow that motion to be led by the breath and the area of your tailbone. Doing 3 more rounds. Just checking the time. And then coming back into the neutral position. And then tucking your toes underneath you if they're not already, and pressing back into downward facing dog. Just starting to gently walk out the back of the legs. And then from here, we're going to continue with that kind of flowing motion. So coming forward into a high plank. And then you're going to bend your knees and send your buttocks back into the air. So you're coming up onto your toes. And when you're shifting your weight forward, you're really kind of crunching into your abdominal muscles and really rolling the upper body forward. Lowering down, bending the knees in and coming back up. So starting to wake up our abdominal muscles, but also kind of staying in that flowing motion. So it might feel a little bit weird, but just play around. Doing this one more time. And then coming back to downward facing dog. And then softening the knees and gently drawing your hands back towards your feet. Allowing the head to hang. And then inhaling your hands up around the body. And exhaling back down towards the heart space. And then coming to stand at the front of your yoga mat. for the salute to the sun. So drawing your hands to your heart space and just closing down your eyes, coming to stand in Tadasana, grounding down through the feet. Imagining that you've got roots growing down from the soles of your feet down into the earth. If you need, rolling your shoulders up, back and down. And starting to visualize a beautiful golden sun rising in the horizon. You might be on a beautiful white sandy beach, or watching it come up over the hills. Wherever you'd like to be to see this sunrise. Starting to feel the beautiful golden rays touching your skin and warming your body. Allowing the solar energy of the sun to start to drench your body. Warming and waking up the whole earth as it does. Keeping this warmth and this awareness of that solar energy in your mind and your body as we move throughout this practice, which honours that part of ourselves, that solar energy, that dynamic energy, the more extroverted energy, as opposed to the moon, the lunar, feminine, more introverted energy. We have both of inside of us. And I'm sure our Pingala energy, so our solar energy, what runs up through the Pingala nine, that's how I said, Pingala energy, could potentially be a little imbalanced at the moment as we're being forced to introvert a little bit more at this time, or a big bit more. So with that in mind, moving through your practice of the salute to the sun, inhale, hands up around the body. And then exhaling, drawing your hands down to your heart space as you peer down at your hands. Releasing the hands back down as we inhale the hands up towards the sun. And then exhale, folding forward. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, stepping back with the left foot. Lowering that knee down to the floor. You can either keep your hands in contact with your yoga mat, or inhale the shoulders up, back and down as you ground down through your fingertips. Taking your hands back down, stepping back to downward facing dog. Then your knees to the floor, elbows to the floor, chin and chest come to the floor, hold. And then scooping through, elbows are still tucked into the side as you scoop through into Bhujangasana. Inhaling, looking forward. And then tucking the toes underneath you, either coming back by your knees or directly up, back to downward facing dog. And then raising your right foot up. Drawing your knee in towards your body as you come up onto the toes of your left foot, and then gently placing it down in between your hands. Placing your left knee down, inhaling the shoulders up, back and down. Really thinking about squeezing your hips together and the space between your heel and the knee, really drawing them in. So help to stabilize your position and then stepping forward. Inhale the hands up and over the body. And then exhaling down to the crown of your head, to your eyebrow center and to your heart. Get confused with the other practice. Inhaling up. And then exhaling, folding forward. And then stepping back with your right foot. Inhale the shoulders up, back and down, thinking about squeezing your heel and your knee together. And then stepping back to downward facing dog. The knees to the floor, elbows to the floor, chin and chest scooping through. Tucking your toes underneath you. pressing back to downward facing dog. And then raising the left leg up into the air, squeezing your knee towards your chest and then gently placing it down onto the floor. Inhaling up. Exhale, stepping forward. Inhaling up. Hands to the crown, to the eyebrow center, to the heart space, and release. Inhaling up. Exhaling, folding forward. Left foot steps back. Inhaling, shoulders. Squeezing that space between your knee and your foot. Stepping back to downward facing dog. Knees to the floor. Elbows to the floor. Chin and chest skipping through. And this position, aiming to keep your hips in contact with the floor. Squeezing your elbows into the sides and lifting your chest up. Gazing your heart forward. Tucking the toes underneath you, pressing back to downward facing dog. Stepping forward with the right foot. And then forward with the left. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, folding forward. Inhaling, this time taking the hands up around your body like the shape of the sun. Exhale, hands down to the crown, to the eyebrow center, to the heart space, and release. Inhaling up. Exhale, folding forward. Stepping back with the right foot. Inhaling, shoulders. Exhale, step back to downward facing dog. And this one, if I be pedantic with the details, we actually draw our feet together. A slightly different pose than downward facing dog for the salute to the sun. And then knees to the floor, elbows to the floor, chin and chest skipping through. Tucking the toes underneath you, pressing back into downward facing dog. Start extending your left leg up towards the ceiling, drawing the knee towards the chest and placing it in between your hands. Inhaling the shoulders back. And then exhale, stepping forward. Inhaling up. Exhale, hands to the crown, to the eyebrow center, to the heart space. And then this round we're going to add a couple more things. So inhaling up. And then exhaling back down. Stepping back with the left foot. Now rather than lowering that knee down to the floor, I'd just like you to place your left hand down, nice and flat palm. Or if you have a block to place your hand on, it's also a good time to get it. And then rotating with your right hand up towards the ceiling. So you're going to feel a nice stretch in your right buttock. Unless your right buttock is really flexible. I certainly feel it. So you're aiming to open that hand up towards the ceiling and looking up towards that hand. Another thing to keep in mind here is trying to keep your hips square, so drawing your right hip back. And then placing your right hand down, planting your left foot down, and then coming into Trikonasana. So you may like to take your right hand up onto your leg, or keeping it down on the floor, and then rolling your left hand from the heart space, opening to the ceiling. Then if it's comfortable for you to do so, looking up towards that hand. And then lowering your left hand back down, coming back onto the ball of the back foot, springing off that foot, and then taking that foot up towards the ceiling. And then lowering it back down, flattening that back foot down, keeping a nice bend in that front knee so it's directly over the front ankle, and then windmilling the left hand up and back into Warrior Two. This is my favourite one to do, especially in the morning, because it's a time that you can really set your intention with forming a strong foundation through your feet and through the energy of your body, invoking the energy of a peaceful warrior with courage to go throughout whatever you're facing in your day, whatever you're engaging with. And reaching forward, Inhaling back into reverse. And then exhaling back down. You might do one little humble warrior, so interlacing your fingers behind the back of your body as you fold forward. Grounding down through the feet, keeping strong in the legs as you pull your hands up towards the ceiling, really stretching through the chest. Inhaling back to the center, straightening that front leg. And then coming to face the front of your mat again. Inhaling the hands up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, folding down. This time repeating on the right leg back. So taking that right foot back, coming into that high lunge. Keeping onto that back right toe mount as you take your right hand down and rotate your left hand up towards the ceiling, coming into that gentle and stretchy twist of your left glute muscle. Remembering to draw those hips in square, so you may have a tendency to have that left hip come forward. You want to draw it back. And then taking your left hand back down. Straightening through that front leg as you plant your back foot down and coming into Trikonasana. Rolling that foot back forward. Sorry, the hand forward. And then springing off your back right leg and drawing it up towards the ceiling. Placing that foot back down and then windmilling that front right hand up, back and into Warrior Two. Remembering to create that intention of strength, courage, whatever else you might feel in the warrior. Reaching forward and reverse. Interlacing the fingers back behind the back of the body as you fold forward into Humble Warrior. Really stretching through the chest. Inhaling back up. And exhaling forward. Inhaling the hands up, down to the crown, to the eyebrow center, to the heart space. Keeping your hands there for a moment. Allowing your breath to come back. Noticing the subtle changes in your body and your energy after that practice. And then when you're ready, coming back down onto the floor. We're going to do another little time check. So coming down onto your heels into Vajrasana. And just gently rolling the shoulders up, back and down. So slowly start to bring the practice back down. Just sitting with your eyes closed for a moment. And then opening your eyes. Now with this next practice, you'll need a blanket or a pillow because you're going to come onto the top of your head. So as with any inverted practice, if that is not right for your body, if you have high blood pressure or any neck problems, just come into Shashankrasana if that's okay for you. Otherwise, coming onto your heels, so tucking your toes underneath you, and then reaching back to hold onto your ankles. And then you're going to come onto the top of your head, the crown of your head. So you might like to just watch me for a moment. And I'm just going to rest here. This is called the rabbit pose. I've never seen a rabbit do this before, but yeah. So you're just allowing a nice gentle pressure onto the crown of your head. If you need to release that pressure, just bring your buttocks back towards your heels. So This practice helps to activate Sahasrara chakra at the crown of our heads, similar to when we do a headstand. This is just without our legs up in the air. Helps to bring fresh blood to the head, to the brain. A lot of benefits to inverted practices. If you do need to come out at any point, please do. And sitting back onto your heels. And coming down to Shashankasana. So you might like to take your knees nice and wide as you take your forehead down onto the floor. Hands out in front of you, or the side. And then slowly rolling back up. And we're just going to go into gentle side stretch from here. Staying on our heels, just taking your right hand down as you flip your left hand up and over the body, stretching into the ribs. And then taking your left hand down as you extend your right hand up and over the body. Breathing into your right side body. Doing this a few more times. This time as you do, coming onto the left knee, to extend your right leg out, get into a bit more of a full torso stretch. And then coming on over to the other side. And then coming back down onto your heels. Roll the shoulders up, back and down. We'll do a few rounds of Nadi Shodhan, the alternate nostril breath. So if you do need to sit on something else other than your heels, please do. It's coming down to close the eyes. Starting to watch the breath flow in and out of your nostrils. And then when you're ready, placing your index finger and your middle finger to your eyebrow center, blocking off your right nostril with your thumb and breathing in through the left. And then blocking off your left nostril with your ring finger as you exhale through the right. Inhaling through the right. And then exhaling through the left as you block off the right with the thumb. Inhaling through the left, exhaling through the right, inhaling through the right, and exhaling through the left. And continuing with that practice of alternating the breath through each nostril. Once you start to become comfortable with the breath, starting to bring in your mental count and making sure that the inhalation and the exhalation on both nostrils is equal. So it might be 3 or 5 or 10. And this helps to balance both hemispheres of the brain and both energies of our body. So before I was talking about the more extroverted solar energy running through Pingala Nadi, which is an energy channel. We also have Ida Nadi, which allows the more lunar, introverted, introspective energy. As we help to bring these into balance, it helps to engage that central channel of more balanced energy throughout our body. This practice is really beneficial in doing that. Practicing this for 3 more rounds. Once you've completed your 3rd round, resting your hands back down onto your knees. Just coming to observe the breath within your body. A sense of touch with body and space. Starting to listen to all the sounds around you. Allowing your mind to focus on one sound to the next, drifting through. And then taking a nice deep breath in. And exhaling, letting go. Bring your hands to your heart space and drawing into mind 3 or more things that you are grateful for. Inhaling the hands up around the body. And exhaling the hands back down to your heart space, bowing down to your hands. And we'll chant 3 Oms to finish the class. Take a nice deep breath in. Namaste. Hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks for joining.